Hey everyone, Nick here and welcome back to GamerTube, and welcome back once again to our Little Nightmares character concept series. So in today's video, the character we're looking into is the Conductor. So we'll go into this character's location, their gameplay mechanics, and all that good stuff as well. As always, I will just state that everything we say in these videos isn't actually canon to the Little Nightmares universe, nor do we really expect Bandai Namco or Tarsier Studios to really make this character and include them in a game or a DLC. This is just a cool, creepy story we get to tell, and we hope you enjoy it. Also, just a note for all our FNAF fans out there, we are having our next FNAF character concept series video coming out soon, so stay tuned for that. And lastly, before we start today's video, do be sure to subscribe to GamerTube as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. It also keeps you up to date with all the videos that we post. Alrighty, well, let's take a better look at the Conductor. So, our new story starts off with our little protagonist waking up aboard a mysterious train. They're not really sure where it's going, but anywhere would be better than the place they came from. It's been a couple of days since they stowed away on this dark, cold, empty train. So our little protagonist is named the Wanderer. They've roamed around from place to place, always getting by and avoiding danger whenever they can. Their face and head are wrapped with old tattered bandages. They've owned their dusty old brown coat as long as they can remember. Slung on their back is a crumpled old packet of Pale City Slims. They managed to fashion an old cigarette package into a little backpack. Along with the stray cigarettes in the pack, they also stored everything they owned in their little backpack. They hated the smell of these damn things, but they've proven to be helpful on the odd occasion. So as the Wanderer wakes up, they decide to make their way forward through the train. They haven't eaten anything in a while and hope to find something in the carriages up ahead. So in this gameplay segment, the player needs to make their way through the multiple different carriages. Right now they've found themselves in the holding area of the train. But further up were the coach and dining carriages. Surely there could be something to eat up there. Each doorway to the next carriage was locked shut. But fortunately for the Wanderer, there were little air vents above the doors that were the perfect size for them. They would need to push crates, boxes, and wooden planks over to the vent to try and make a climbable path. Once they get up and climb through the vents, they would now find themselves in the outside area of the train. They would need to climb down the ladder and balance walk their way across to the next carriage. This would be their only option to make it from carriage to carriage. There's no way they could possibly travel on the top of the train. With their size and the fast moving winds, they'd surely be swept off. After traversing the dangerous carriage connector and climbing the ladder, they now find themselves in the next carriage. This next cargo carriage was dark and damp. Moisture dripped from the walls and ceiling. As light from the outside passed through here and there, this was revealed to be a meat holding carriage. Large hunks of meat hang from the ceiling on rusty old hooks. As they walk along the wet ground, they're met with a familiar foe. Wherever there's darkness and water, there's sure to be deadly leeches. The player needs to avoid these deadly little critters at all costs. Normally the leeches are susceptible to light, but the Wanderer only has matches that don't last very long. So they need to take out one of the cigarettes and light it with the match. The small glow that the cigarette gives off isn't enough to fend off the little creatures alone. It was actually the smoke that the slimy critters couldn't stand. The player needs to hold the cigarette and let the smoke waft off into the direction of the leeches as they make their way to the end of the carriage. They themselves need to be careful of the smoke as it would cause them to stop moving and pause to cough. Whilst coughing, they would be open to attacks from the deadly leeches. When they reach the end of the meat holding carriage, they would need to climb a large link of mouldy old sausages to reach the vent at the top. Unfortunately for the Wanderer, all the meat in this carriage was well rotten. If they were to take a nibble of any of this rotten meat, they'd surely get sick. After they reach the top, they then make their way outside and carefully walk across the carriage connector. The wanderer now makes it to the next carriage. This was definitely a welcome change of pace. The only thing is, they weren't too sure how welcome they truly were. As they walk through, they can see multiple seats and tables. All the booths are empty, there doesn't seem to be anyone around. As they climb over all the tables, they come across the occasional silver cloche. Whenever they would open them, multiple roaches would scurry out from beneath them. Surely there had to be food somewhere on this train. They continue forward till they reach the doorway to the next carriage. This time they don't need to exit the train. They can simply walk through the door into the next carriage. As they enter, they see a large shadowy figure approaching. The wanderer quickly hides as the individual gets closer. As they peer around the corner, it's revealed to be the conductor. The conductor is a tall individual with long swaying arms, pale sagging skin, and a large mouth filled with oversized teeth. It appears that their eyes are underneath their conductor's cap. Their conductor's uniform is old and worn, with some rips and tears here and there. They seem to be wandering around the carriages, checking on all the non-existent passengers. No one was sitting in the seats, but the conductor was still roaming around checking their imaginary tickets. So whilst the conductor was doing their aimless job, the wanderer needs to quietly sneak past them. They would have to climb over the tables and be careful not to tread on any of the silverware or make a sound. If they did, the conductor would rush over and quickly grab them. As the wanderer makes their way to the next carriage, they open the door as quietly as they can. But unfortunately, the conductor hears the high-pitched squeak of the door. The player needs to quickly run into the next room and jump down into a space in the wooden floorboards. The conductor makes their way into the room and reaches their hand into the small space. The player needs to keep their distance or else they'll be captured by this disturbing conductor. In the floorboards, there's only two spaces for the player to exit from. The one they came in from and the one at the end of the carriage. Unfortunately for the player, the conductor moves ahead and reaches the furthest space and sticks their hand in. The player is now stuck. They can't exit from the furthest space and they can't exit from the entry space or they'll be seen. So in this gameplay segment, the player needs to light one of the cigarettes and place it at the entry space. This will cause the smoke to rise from the hole, making the conductor head over and investigate. Whilst this happens, the player now has a short window of time to exit and escape through the door. This now brings them to the final carriage, the train's control room. The train seems to be running fine without the conductor at the controls. Maybe it's on autopilot or something. The player hops into the controls and tries to see if they can stop the train. They weren't safe as long as the conductor was on board. And there's no way they could jump out of a moving train. They needed to locate the emergency brake and engage it. So in this gameplay segment, the player needs to search around and find the emergency brake. Once they've located it, they soon realise it's behind an emergency breakaway glass. The player needs to find something that they can throw at the glass in order to shatter it. They rummage around and find multiple items they can throw. They carry the item back to the glass and throw it. The glass cracks slightly. The wanderer needs to go back and grab another item. They throw once more and the glass shatters. The emergency brake slides out and the player is now able to grab it. As they hang there, they put all their weight on the brake as it retracts out. The train suddenly comes to a screeching halt. The door suddenly opens as the conductor comes charging in. The player needs to quickly climb up the controls and jump out the window. As they do, the conductor tries to grab them madly. The player needs to dodge their hands as they climb up the multiple controls. Finally, they can get access to the side window. In this last-ditch effort, the player needs to push the window open. Just as the conductor goes to grab them, they leap out the window and tumble down onto the ground. They can see the mad conductor yelling at them from the window. The wanderer quickly runs from the train tracks and into the woods. Finally, they were safe. But where were they now? As they move on, they prepare themselves for whatever new dangers await them next. Alrighty everyone, well that's all we have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please consider leaving a like, commenting and subscribing, as it helps out a lot and it's greatly appreciated. Also in the comment section down below, let us know what you thought of the Conductor and what you'd like to see going forward. Alrighty everyone, well until the next video, I'll catch you later, bye.